Okay, well, good afternoon. I am here with Jamie Hosking from the e-commerce advisor with the City of Belleville, and we were conducting a series of Chamber Chat Lives, and just with upheaval, we had Small Business Week. Then, Wednesday it was New Remembrance Day, so we didn't want to interfere with people's Wednesday afternoon. So as a result, we decided to get together on Friday and try and tie up the remaining 3 conversations we were going to have. And I know your schedule has gotten busy too, so that's interfered a little bit with kind of what, but you know what, people are zooming out, so maybe this is going to be the way they want to watch it on their own time, at their own speed, at their own, when it's convenient.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
anyway, I consume a lot of content myself, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and now you've been doing what you've been doing for a few months, and you might be able to comment a little bit more. And we were just talking offline a little bit about how the resources in the community are growing. So there are other options as well.
Right.
I guess there were 3 topics that we were kind of going to cover that we hadn't done yet. And one of those was, how does word of mouth work online? Because a lot of the conversations we've had have been discussing how we've transitioned from kind of a normal brick and mortar model, and how you take that brick and mortar model to an online environment, whether it's a business, a product, or a service. But we all know that word of mouth has always been the best advertising. So how does that work online? So that's one thing. The other thing is we want to talk about opening the window of opportunity. And this is actually, now we are opening that online store. So we've gotten all our ducks in a row. We've decided who our target market is, how we're going to try and deliver our product online. We're going to talk about the word of mouth thing, and then we're going to talk about actually opening doors online. And then finally, talk a little bit maybe about how that does end up working in some of the troubleshooting, trouble spots, kind of issues that people might run into. And you had also given me some great ideas around, now that your online store is up and running. So how do we, and it's kind of building that word of mouth piece. So,
right, absolutely.
So let's just start with a little bit of that word of mouth. How does word of mouth work online?
Yeah, word of mouth online. Word of mouth online is what we're really talking about are conversations, what people are saying about you, your business and your product or your service. And, there's a unique opportunity now online. Before the internet, you sold your product or you offered your service, the customer accepted that product and took it home, or accepted that service and it was done. And unless there was a problem, you may or may not ever hear from them again, unless it's a repeat thing. Now with the internet, you can engage with them, as much as needed or as much as you like. So first of all, we're talking beforehand, before you make that sale. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can create a community of your own. If you're establishing yourself as an expert in your particular industry or your particular field, you should be creating, micro communities online, things like a Facebook page or a Facebook group. It doesn't have to be, directly named after your business. It could be a generic group or a generic page, and you just happen to be the curator of it. One of my big favorites is a technique that I borrowed from somebody else, and that is using the search function in these different platforms, especially Twitter, but also Facebook as well, and searching for not only the name of your business, but also the key words of your business. So I've used the gardening example before. So you can be looking for gardening groups. You can be looking for people who are posting about gardening, especially locally in your area. You could be answering questions, solving problems, addressing what people might have, those pain points we talk about. Right. Engaging people directly online, getting into their direct message, getting into their inbox on Instagram and Twitter, and interacting with people. You're proving that you know what you're talking about, and you're establishing trust before you even make that sale. And the great thing about all this is that it's all free. You're directly interacting with potential customers, and the only thing that's limiting you is time and your will to go ahead and just get in there and do it. It's work, but it's not hard work. It just takes some time to get in there and do that regularly. I'm talking daily, maybe twice a day if you have time.
And I think that's your point exactly, that with this online marketplace, so to speak, or this group of people that you've identified as being your target market, you can engage with them where you might not know who they are walking down the street. So now you've got this whole group of people that you can find through their interests. I know even with LinkedIn, I posted our discoverbelleville.ca website and the launch of that, and we had people engaging, and I got a couple of direct messages. I thought, oh, that's so clever. You are tracking anybody who's talking about tourism and or exploring local, and they captured that within whatever algorithm it was. So
right, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, and the second part of that, of course, is we've talked about this before, and that's creating online content for yourself. And basically what you're trying to do is create something that people will talk about. So it should be informative, and if you can help it, if you've got some creativity in you, entertaining as well. We've talked about this before, the one time that people look forward to watching a commercials during the Super Bowl. And why is that? Because it's entertaining, or it's going to be water cooler talk the next day. We don't care that they're trying to sell us something at that time. Or if not entertaining, even more important, helpful. Solve my problem. Establish that know what you're doing, but offer me some advice and suggestions and ways to do things, and I'm going to feel that obligation to shop with you. So there's a balancing act there. You've got to try and make it appealing, and this is with any advertising, but especially online, because there's so much noise. But again, the barrier to entry now is so very low. When before, 20 years ago, if you wanted to create a video commercial, a 30-second thing, you needed an ad agency and a crew, or needed help with the TV station and all of that. Now we're walking around with TV studios in our pockets, and we really have to get out of our heads a little bit and not be perfectionists about it. Document, don't create. Just pull out the phone, shoot that video. Don't worry about how it looks, or just be yourself. If you're authentic, it will come through, and people will trust you that much more. So because it's free, then again, the other barriers, that is time and the energy and will to do it. Because it's free, you can be churning these things out. You can pull out a phone and create a 30-second video, or a call to action, or a how-to right in the middle of your workday. Pardon me. If you're doing something and you're thinking, wow, what, my customers could really benefit from this, pull out your phone, hand it to a coworker, and get them to shoot a quick clip of you talking about something, doing something, and put that on Facebook, put that on Twitter, put that on Instagram, and just keep doing that again and again and again and again.
Right.
And you will see results. You need to be patient, but the better you get at it, the more appealing your content will be. And this works also for photos and text. You could be writing and posting, a great photos as well, if you're not into video. Or it could be a podcast.
True enough.
Sorry.
Yeah. Quick question. Is there kind of a recommended time frame? I know that when I go to post my videos on YouTube, it will say, a 3-minute video is like the ideal length. So if you were going to, sorry, I'm making noise here, so I want to make sure I'm turning off my phone. Is 3 minutes kind of the right time frame for that clip, or should it be shorter or longer?
Well, it all depends on what the expectation of your viewer is going to be. So if you need that time, if you need 8 minutes, if you need 15 minutes, because what you're about to show your potential customers or your existing customers, your audience, is a little more involved, or you want to get it right, or if it's a step-by-step how-to, then be clear about that in the title. Be clear about that in the thumbnail that you use. And we're talking video here again.
Sure. Yeah.
But it could be a step-by-step post or an article that you've written. And it could be a short little article. It could be a longer in-depth thing. But give a hint to that in the title of it, as you put it. You could put in-depth, step-by-step, or how-to, complete tutorial, things like that.
Yeah, I'm making butternut squash ravioli from scratch. It's going to take a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you're really along for the ride.
Yeah, and unless if you're familiar with food videos, unless it's one of those tasty videos that's complete cut
I know.
everybody doing stuff, then it's going to be a little process. But it could be, again, if it's a shorter video, it could be, quick how-to, or how to replace this, or how to fix this, or how to clean this, or 5 quick tips. You just give an indicator of what they're in for. But that said, if I see a video on YouTube and I see that it's 58 minutes, I go, that's a commitment. I'm not doing that.
Right.
Or I've seen particular channels too. I've noticed one channel on YouTube, and every video of theirs was 8 minutes and 30 seconds. And I'm like, oh, I gotta do some research into that. Why are they sticking to this? Like a couple were 8:34, one was 8:29, but they were all doing the 8-minute 30 thing. I'm like, there must be some magic in that. And I haven't done a deep dive into YouTube in 2020 right now because it's constantly changing. But there must be some secret sauce in there.
Right.
I do know that there are triggers for advertising and that sort of thing, monetization on YouTube, so that could be part of it. I know that your videos have to be a certain length and have to have a certain number of likes in order for you to get your channel monetized. We're talking about people who are looking to earn money.
Exactly. Those who
And
are in the business of making video.
Yeah. Another option too is if you have a longer subject that you feel needs the attention, you break it up, part 1, part 2, that sort of thing.
Yes. Well, and I'm even thinking as we're going through today, we are going to cover a fair amount. I might just chunk it into those sections so that if somebody doesn't want to sit down and listen for as long as we go on, they could easily cut that back. But
right. If you're looking for more information and input about this sort of thing, there are plenty of people on YouTube that talk about video creation. There's lots and lots of people.
Well, you can learn how to do anything on YouTube, can't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I fixed my toilet thanks to YouTube. Yeah. So again, when you're doing research on YouTube, and it is a great resource, what I like to do is use the particular keywords, how to in particular, but then I sort my results by view count or by rating, and that way I'm seeing the cream rising to the top. Certainly.
Fair enough. One of the things that we talked about or that you had mentioned when we were going to talk about this, like we have customer reviews as well. So we've kind of gotten around that online content thing, but getting customer reviews. And then the other piece, in addition, once you've got your customer reviews, then you're starting to look for influencer marketing. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about how one might lead to the other and how you can curate your online reviews to move that towards an influencer market.
Right. And pardon me. When we're talking about influencer marketing, there could be a couple of different avenues you can take. If you're looking for a larger territory of sales, so you're going nationwide with your products or your service, influencer marketing can be definitely the way to go. But also too, if there are local people that you've identified that are really trending well on Instagram. Hey, there's somebody here that's there's this fisherman down in Picton that's really getting a lot of traction on his Instagram page for the stuff he's doing. I might want to connect with him with my sporting goods store, that sort of thing, and you can do a cross promotion that way. Influencer marketing can be tricky because you've got to try and establish whether this particular influencer really is as fleshed out as they are. There's still an option there where influencers do buy likes and they do buy followers. There's a way you can do this. There's a black market for that sort of thing. But it's easy enough to research this. You just look at what they're doing. It's very transparent, especially on Twitter and Instagram, where you can see the type of posts they're getting, the comments that they're getting on each one of their posts, the likes they're getting, and so on. The other part of that, of course, is that you can become an influencer yourself. And this is what I would really rather you do. Because this is, of course, again, what I'm saying is creating trust and giving you the persona or the actual true persona of an established expert. And maybe people will be coming to you and want to advertise on your Instagram channel instead of the other way around. That's ultimately the goal that I think you should achieve. One of the things that I really love to encourage people to think about is consider yourself a media company first. No matter what you're doing, we're all presenting ourselves in some way. So if you think of yourself that way, a media company first and a candy maker second, then you're always going to be ahead of the game. It is an investment of time and energy and thought and learning. You're going to, to be successful at this, you do need to be a lifelong learner, but it pays off. It pays off in dividends. The more time and energy you invest in learning these skills, which are essential for any entrepreneur or small business owner, really, anybody in kind of grassroots, not even grassroots. If you're a good CEO, you should be engaging with your customers. Nothing worse than a detached CEO who doesn't follow trends and is just looking at 90-day spreadsheets because they're looking after a bonus. That makes me sick.
Right.
The real innovators, the real business leaders are the ones who are looking at every angle and are doing the work.
Yes, yes. And I think that comes back around to that comment we had. It might be free, but it's not without effort. And
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, you can pay someone to do that, and this is where it's also worthwhile. But then coming back to the idea of what is it that's going to make the most sense for you in terms of putting your business online and making that available? What part of that makes your business attractive? And for example, if you still have to do an in-person service, being able to book online all of a sudden makes you that much more convenient, as opposed to trying to call, getting a busy signal, not being able to connect, trying to leave a message on a phone. So
Yeah.
even if it is requiring an in-person service, how do you do that?
Yeah,
And
that's a little bit of a sidebar, but that is an excellent one. There are easy tools that you can integrate into your website and your social media platforms to simplify scheduling. You can have your customers and clients schedule themselves based on a calendar that's on your website and your own availability that you control. So that, that's one less piece of minutia that you have to work on day to day.
right. Mhm.
Direct people to your website. I mean, I know of at least one local business who does that, who will not take appointments over the phone or in person. You have to go to the website, which can
Yes.
be a barrier for entry to some. You have to be prepared for that.
Right.
There are people who don't have access to the internet, who don't have phones, or who don't have computers. So you've got to balance that out. But if that's where you find that your customers are, that's what you should look at. That's the core of it. There, find out what is consuming your customers' attention.
Yeah.
Find out where they're living, so to speak.
Yes.
Where are they living online? Where are they spending their time?
Yeah. Who is your target customer?
Right.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you leverage these technologies, you can then spend more time on doing the things that you need to do to help scale your business bigger and bigger, because you're leveraging technology and different applications and different services that you can integrate in with your online business to simplify the way you're doing things. As another example, a very simple example, we're talking about creating a lot of content. You can sit down, take a couple of days a month, or take a Sunday afternoon and create the content for a whole week or a couple of weeks. Backlog it so that you feel like you
Mhm.
take a vacation once in a while. And as long as it's not something that is going to clash with a current event like we talked about before, as long as you're monitoring it and not being just disconnected from it, you can actually bank all of this and just
Sure.
schedule it so that you are posting it at regular intervals throughout your week and your month.
Right. Do you have a particular app that you use to organize your schedule, or do you use something like Hootsuite or Buffer?
I would have. I mean, I can't not recommend those. They're still great tools. However, very, very recently, I have heard of challenges with these tools, and also that the platforms themselves have been integrating a lot of the functionality of these tools directly into the platforms. As a
Right.
great example, Facebook. You go into the Facebook backend, they're publishing tools. They're constantly expanding on those. You can schedule posts. You can do all kinds of integrations with them. Same with YouTube. Their YouTube creator platform on the back end, the Creator Studio, is really robust. So the need for these tools becomes less and less. The other nightmare story that I'll use as an example, and this is another great reason, by the way, to have your own website and not just rely on social media platforms for your online presence. You want to own your own content and have control of your own content. Last week, there was a pretty popular YouTube channel who also had a matching Instagram channel. It was a travel channel. Just a young couple. They lost their entire Instagram account, and it took them a week to figure out why. Just gone. All the photos, all the content closed. They just got a notice saying, due to a violation of our terms of service, your channel has been deactivated. And try to get a hold of somebody on Instagram. You can't. I hear people go, I tried to call Google. You can't call them. You can't contact them.
Yes.
If you reach it, you might get vague terms of service gobbledygook. But what it ended up being was that they were using a platform to post on Instagram, a third-party platform, and somehow that platform, maybe inadvertently, but violated some micro term of service that might have been updated, but that platform did not update to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There are these are constantly updating. So that violation shut them down, and their entire channel is gone, which is heartbreaking for them. Put a lot of work into that. There's lots of images on there. I'm presuming they've got their images, stored somewhere else, but there was a lot of effort put into that, and they can do that. It's their service. It's their platform. They own it, and you're putting things on there at no cost. So
actually, what you're talking about there and that whole potential for loss, we've just discovered Airtable, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but
I haven't, no.
It's neat because one of the challenges, of course, we're looking at trying to plan different things, and we have a lot of different moving parts. So whether it's a chamber thing or an event that we're trying to put together or something for the Discover Belleville site, we might have access to photos that would fit in any one of those categories, but trying to place them has been a challenge. So, I mean, we're talking old school spreadsheet type style of work where we say, okay, this is a good date to put it in. This is what maybe the caption would look like or the text would look like, and here's the photo that we would use. Airtable gives you the option to do all that. You add your photo in and you can put the content information around it. You can schedule it. And I mean, that's just with a free trial version. You can have all sorts of different bases. And so right now we have, let's say we used it for Canada Day. So we have Canada Day, and then we have Santa Claus, not parade, and we have Discover Belleville. So that's kind of a neat one if you're trying to plan your content and you don't want to lose that inventory of photos, because then it lives in a place. And it's not as much about the photos, but sometimes you come up with the most clever thing to say to describe that photo, and trying to recreate that is 90% of the challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't want to come off as being against any of these platforms. I don't even know which platform this particular influencer couple was using. They didn't say.
Right.
So when it comes to any of these services, do your research. If you can afford to get the top level, the top 1, 2, or 3 service, and if it's in your budget, go ahead and pull the trigger on that and do that. Again, they could have used like the number 8 one, or who knows which service they were using. It might have been one that would fly by night. I don't know. But just be aware that these things can change on a whim.
Yeah.
And so it's best to make sure that you've got backups for all of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, certainly anybody who's used Facebook for any period of time knows how much it's changed, and how, I want to say 5, 6 years ago, you could have a business as a person and you could develop a huge following, just like your own friend group. And then they eliminated that option, and they forced you to the pages. Now groups tend to be a better way if you have a consistent and regular group of people that buy from you. So especially as you're talking about building expertise around something, getting a group that will follow you is probably your best way, because when you do put a post there, it does jump to the top if they are following.
Right. So as an example,
where pages I find are really hit or miss.
Mm-hmm. Well, as an example, if I was opening up like a drone business where I wanted to sell all the latest aerial drones, remote control drones, I could establish my business and then create a page for my business. But then I could create maybe a local drone fan group, Quinny area drone, aficionados or something to that effect. But then just start spreading the word and creating posts, and then getting other people who may not be your customers yet to be members of that group, where you're chatting about drones, what your favorite models are, tips and tricks, all the types of the chatter and conversation that you want going on. And then as everybody gets to know each other, they'll go, oh, hey, there's Jamie. I wonder, hey, what does Jamie do for a living? And they look me up and, oh, hey, Jamie's got a drone store. Look at that. And then it's just a natural progression from there.
Right. So the last thing I want to talk about is the whole customer review and what happens when someone gives you a bad one. So, I mean, we could start with even Google My Business and why you should encourage customers to leave reviews. I'll leave it with you on that one.
You know what? You may get bad reviews. Actually, the more successful and the more you scale your business, the more you're going to get bad reviews. It is inevitable. You can't make everybody happy about everything all the time, every day. The one thing that I encourage everyone to do, and I notice when it's not being done, is to respond to every review, every good review, every bad review, every indifferent review. I mean, it's easy to respond to a good review. Hey, thanks for your review. You know, glad that you're happy, et cetera, et cetera. I really notice it when companies and businesses don't respond at all. I certainly notice it when they don't respond to bad reviews, but I definitely see it when they respond to good ones and not the bad ones.
Yeah.
And that just means that that's just neglect. What
Any
what's
tip?
good of it? Yeah.
Any
Sorry,
tip or trick to any tip or trick to get somebody to write a review for you? Because you, like you said before, when we had customers in the brick and mortar world, we probably only heard from them if they were disappointed, and they would come to the store and tell you with a return.
Yeah.
Now online, online, you're building that marketplace, you're developing your target market, you're developing your expertise, you're doing that kind of thing. Now the person has come to your drone store, bought that drone. How do you get them to put that into a Google review or a Facebook review?
Really ask. Now, here's the key. Do not offer anything in return, ever.
Right.
Don't offer a bonus, don't offer a discount, don't offer a thank. I mean, you can offer a thank you. That's what you should offer, a thank you after the fact. But yeah, this is where you're going to have to be a salesperson, and you're not selling your business per se, but you over communicate it at every opportunity, at the end of every transaction, at the end of every conversation. Hey, if you like our business, if you like our service, feel free to leave a review on Google or Facebook or what have you. It would be really appreciated. We're looking to scale our business, and we like to attract great customers like you. You can put the shine on it if you want to, but just make it a footnote every time. The biggest retailers and the best businesses train their customer service staff to make that pitch of the week, make that request for a donation for whatever nonprofit they're sponsoring. Make sure that every customer knows about their discount sale. Make it part of the vernacular of your transaction every single time, and and those reviews will come. The best way to not get them to not post a review is not ask them to post a review. Mention it. They might do it on a whim, but if they hear you, oh, hey, you know what? Oh, Jamie really values these reviews, or he really wants to know my opinion on something. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But my chances of doing it, by not hearing about it are slim. Just go ahead and ask, please.
Yeah, cool. All right, so I think that probably talks about our word of mouth conversation. So we'll move on to the next one. I might just pause here for a sec so we can recalibrate, and I'll stop the recording at this point. So that gives us a couple to just